Recently on D&D Beyond, an article was released called Homebrew Horrors Monsters of War. And this touches on a concept that I've talked about in the past that I've always been very excited about to have show up in 5th edition, and that is templates. For those of you unfamiliar, the concept of a template is you take an existing, whether it be a character or in this instance a monster, and you apply a template to it, thus changing it in some way. So if you can imagine, let's say a rat, right? You have a regular old rat. If you had something like, say, a fiendish template, you could apply the fiendish template to the rat. It then becomes a fiendish rat, and then it is fundamentally different. That might mean it has resistance to fire damage, or it does some sort of bite that deals poison damage, or whatever, right? So the concept of templates I always thought was interesting because every monster that you've released thus far in 5th edition could have a template applied to them, and if that's done, then it's an entirely new monster. So that's a great way to not have to release new monster books and really expand on what you have by just releasing templates. So again, there's a lot of homebrew that has done this, and technically what we're talking about here is also homebrew, but it's on D&D Beyond, so I thought it would be interesting to dive into. So here we can see, welcome to Homebrew Horrors, a series where you get a set of brand new homebrew monsters plus lore and world building details that you can use to anchor them in your own setting. The time has come for warriors of your campaign to don armor, unsheath their weapons, and ride to war upon the backs of hulking monsters. This installment of Homebrew Horrors series gives you a brand new template you can apply to large enough creatures to carry other creatures. So like large or bigger, we'll talk about it in a second. Additionally, it provides 2 homebrew monsters that you can use in your D&D campaign. The White Dragon of War and the War Mammoth. These monsters were specifically chosen to enhance your Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign that can be used in any adventure, or but can be used in any adventure that takes place in an Arctic climate. So, just like the template provided in the monster manual, these templates, what templates? Okay, this is the D&D monster manual, okay. These templates don't consistently increase a character's challenge rating. This article gives a rough guideline on how to use it. I don't think there are any templates in the monster manual, if I'm being honest with you, but anyway, new template, War Monster. War monsters are domesticated beasts, allied dragons, or tamed monstrosities that can be equipped with back-mounted carriages large enough to carry warriors into battle. Depending on the creature's size and the size of their riders, they can carry as many as a full platoon of soldiers. While this template usually only applies to creatures with beast-like anatomy, it can be applied to more alien creatures like aberrations, fiends, and oozes if the DM allows it. So, challenge rating of a war monster doesn't change. However, a war monster is frequently accompanied by other creatures on its war carriage. These creatures are its allies, and you can use the D&D Beyond Encounter Builder to determine that. War carriage. The creature carries a custom-made carriage that allows a number of soldiers to fight from and be transported on the back of the carrier. This carriage is attached to the creature by a number of leather straps and harnesses. If severed, cause it to tumble off the creature's back. Each of the straps of this carriage are tiny objects, the AC 18 and 10 HP, immune to poison and psychic damage. Most war carriages are attached by 4 straps connected to the monster's limbs. A huge creature wearing a war carriage can carry up to 4 medium creatures or 1 large creature. A gargantuan is 16 medium, 4 large, or 1 huge. The platform also has space for 1 additional medium creature to drive and use its weaponry if the monster is intelligent enough, or if the monster is intelligent and needs no driver. Mounted weaponry. Creatures that are huge or larger can have a number of weapons mounted upon its saddle or carriage. Choose from the following options. So we have mounted harpoon crossbow, ballista, or trebuchet. So the mounted crossbow is an oversized heavy crossbow with a long bolt attached to a length of 60 feet of rope. Tiny object is mounted on the railing, takes up no space. Minimum creature size, huge, 4 crossbows, gargantuan, 16 crossbows. This is how many you can put on a creature. Excuse me. Ranged weapon attack, +5 to hit, range of 60 feet. Does a D10 piercing damage, and the target must succeed on a DC 13 strength saving throw or be harpooned. A harpooned creature takes a D6 piercing damage at the start of each of its turn and can't move more than 60 feet away from the war monster. If a creature on the platform succeeds on a strength contest against the creature as an action, it can move the target up to 30 feet closer to the platform. The creature can repeat this saving throw as an action, ending the effect on a success. Ballista, a large siege crossbow. A large object takes up the space of 1 large creature or 4 medium creatures, only available on huge creatures. Plus 6 to hit, 120, 480 range, 3d10 piercing damage. It can be attacked independently of the war carriage. Stats are found on Chapter 8 of the DMG. And lastly, the Trebuchet, a massive siege catapult that hurls missiles from incredible range. This huge object takes up the space of one huge creature. 4 large creatures are 16 medium creatures. Gargantuan in size is the only one that can wear it. Ranged weapon attack, plus 5 to hit, 300, 1200 range, 8d10 bludgeoning. It can be attacked separately, and it has its own stats. So then we get the monster, the War White Dragon. So there's a little bit of lore here. An adult white dragon carries 4 medium creatures on its back and often ferries a unit of soldiers into battle. It may also swoop over the battlefield, annihilating enemy combatants with icy blasts. With a ballistician on its back, rains deadly ballista bolts upon its enemies. The adult white dragon is a fearsome CR-13 monster, manned by a single veteran who aims a ballista on its back. See its full statistics and add the monster to your game. Okay, here's its full statistics. Let's check it out. It is basically an adult white war dragon, which is pretty much the only difference is the war carriage here, the mounted weaponry here, which is just kind of the stuff we know about how to cut it off, and that it can be used as a humanoid. And then it should have the ballista for the rider here, that's basically all it is. All right, and then we have the War Mammoth, is a CR6 typically found mounted by a crew of 4 Goliath berserkers and driven by a Goliath tribal warrior. See its full statistics and add it to your campaign. What kind of homebrew monsters have you made for your game? And then let's go ahead and take a look at its stats. Trampling charge. Here's the war carriage and the mounted weaponry, and then here's the harpoon crossbows here as well. So that's it. I just thought it was an interesting article to make because, again, it adds templates to the game, and I like the concept of templates because now, in theory, with this war template, you could apply this to any monster in the monster manual, Volo's Guide, Mordenkainen's, or anything else, and now you added just effectively doubled all the amount of monsters by adding a new type. So you add more templates to the game, you add more variability without having to add new books or new monsters. I think that's a good idea, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about templates? The concept in general, or this one specifically? What are your thoughts? Are you like me and think that it's a great way to expand the breadth of the game without really having to do a ton of work? And what do you think about the war template? It's kind of simple. It's just adding the weapon. But more importantly, I think it's interesting because it adds some good hard and fast harpoon rules that you could use for hand harpoons and things like that. I like that as well. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support me and the channel. I will see you all next time.